Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're gonna be talking about Hero of Remnant, and I'm just slowly realizing that I'm mostly focusing on on this series specifically. I think it's because of nostalgia and also because I absolutely love this idea still. So I'm probably gonna focus on this still, and I'm probably gonna focus on other episodes soon enough. If you want, you can just comment down below what series should I cover next this time. Okay, guys? Good. Now, let's begin, shall we, ladies and gents? So, we go to a little flashback. This time with Salem. As Salem would say this. So, how's our little spy in Beacon, she would say. As, while she said that, another person would come by, being that of Dr. Watts, also known as Arthur Watts. As he would say, doing pretty well, though he's been having a lot of trouble lately. Remember that boy that you recently saw under Seer? As she would say, yes. That boy. Do you know him perhaps? As he would say, yeah, a few years ago, before I became this. His name is Rex. Rex Goodwitch. Apparently he's the adopted son of Goodwitch or whatever. Though, after learning about his exploits, he's certainly quite the child. A prodigy even. Though, why is that exactly? As she would say this, well, apparently, he is assigned to his team, though he is certainly not going to lose. After all, after learning a bit about his powers, and that of his ability to summon those things, it's quite a surprise for a semblance, though. I'm still surprised about our little guest. She would say as someone would pass by them, being that of a servant. As the servant would say this, "It's nice to meet you, Mr. Arthur," he would say. As he would say, "Who might you be?" As he would say, "You may just call me the savior of this new realm, and I bring upon you a certain little challenge. Is that of a special wish-granting device known as the Holy Grail." As after hearing that, he would say, "The Holy Grail? What bullshit is this?" As she would say this, "Yes, it's quite a surprise," said Salem, now revealed as the woman in front of them. Though he was not lying, it's certainly quite the enticing offer, especially since, as she would show off her left hand, revealing a command seal. As she would say, "It's quite the surprise being that I'm your master." As he would say, "Yes, I'll give you the details later, milady. And now, I only have enough magical power for me and, or more specifically you, to summon a servant. Though, the most ideal one would probably be a caster." Saying this, he would say, "What do you mean?" As he would say, "Oh, I'll gladly explain." As it will fade to black. As we go back to the present. As we currently see Izuku and, not Izuku, I meant Rex, and the rest of Team Nebula and also, Team Wrath. As we currently see Asha Domen. Or, because I'm gonna retcon this is actually the part where I sort of fucked up. I specifically said that his, like in the last part, he did say his true name. But I was meant to say was that his name was Caster of Limbo. Remember, It's still a holy grail war, or at least it's going to be. As he would say this. So, our lovely little faunus friend, as you call it, right? The species of these animal things, he would say. As while saying that, one of them would say, "Wait, you don't know what the heck is a faunus?" Said a somewhat confused Nebula would say, as he would say, yes. Though my friend, or should I say ally, doesn't have enough energy for us to summon a new servant, being a caster, I have my ways, you would say, grabbing onto some sort of talisman. And if you're wondering what it looks like, imagine something like this on his hand. Yeah, the one that looks like a origami, as you'd say. I think I found the perfect one. After all, he is quite a revolutionary. After saying this, he would throw the talisman towards the somewhat tired and almost dead body of the poor faunus. As the faunus would say, as he would get touched by the talisman, as the talisman would be absorbed into his back, as slowly something starts to happen to him. As he would start screaming in pain, as his body would slowly start shifting specifically the color of his skin. As the man would, or should I say, the man known as Adam, or Faunus, would slowly start shifting. His skin would slowly start become almost grayish, as several straps of armor would slowly start appearing around his body. As his hair, or at least half of it, or a part of it, would slowly start shifting to a blonde color. As his cries of pain would slowly start become laughter. As he would say, he would say, with a somewhat joyous tone, as he would say, yes, he would say, said caster of Limbo. Now, you may have your fun, Saber. And so, the thing was revealed. As Adam would be revealed, I'm not gonna show a picture yet because this is not his complete form. As they would see his body fully changed, as the once battered body of the poor little faunus would be healed, as the left side of his arm would be super bulky, almost resembling that of a muscle, like a bodybuilder essentially. His sword would also change from once a katana to a red, somewhat reddish blade that resembles that of a simple Spartan-like sword. As his eyes would also change as well, or at least one of his eyes. As one of his eyes, the one that was got branded, was somehow healed. I mean, it still has the branding on it, but I mean, at least he got his eye back. His new eye would be the color of, would be somewhat grayish, as the man would slowly start laughing and laughing, as he would say this. As after the laughing, he would say this. Now, I shall crush you, you oppressors! He would say. Saying this, he would rush towards one of them, specifically that of Rex and the two rulers. As Jean, also known as Ruler, let me just double check first. God, my throat. I really need to take a drink. Wait for a second, guys. As Ruler Crimson would say, "What? How?" she would say, as she would dodge out of the way, using her flagpole as a way to basically just like fend them off. As while she was doing this, Moriarty would jump in as well, using his staff as a sort of I guess you could say spear, but he would mostly just use the lanterns most of the time. As while he was summoning in a few of his lanterns that would shoot out light, he would say, quite interesting. Though, what, how? He would start sensing it too. As he would say, how are you able to? As Asha would say this. Oh, do you like the little project that I love? Oh, don't worry. I've been experimenting. Though, after I got in summoned, this world's grim is quite interesting, to say the least. But, do you know what's more interesting? Oh, I love how the faunus seem to be much more compatible as pseudo-servant candidates. And I certainly love this one. And it seems that he speaks with a saber as well. How joyous, he would say. As while saying this, the now revealed saber, or at least sort of saber, technically, I guess you could say it's sort of like a Sieg situation. What do I mean? That is, do you remember Sieg from Fate Apocrypha, right? Imagine something like that, but without the whole, like, replacing your organs part with the servant. So yeah, it's essentially that. As while he was laughing his ass off, currently his master, that of Arthur, or just Watts, would say, Caster, I do appreciate the interesting idea, but I certainly want to know your research. As you'd say, Oh, don't worry, Master. I'll give you some of the research as well. After all, we are master and servant. You would say with a laugh with a somewhat maniacal smile. As while doing so, he would say this. Now, show them true despair, you would say. As while doing so, he would raise up his arms and say, take down these tyrants. As while saying this, the now revived and somewhat more invigorated, Adam would start saying this. As Adam would slowly start laughing again, saying, rebellion is my truly... I meant, rebellion is truly my life, you would say. Now, you shall die, oppressors, you would say, charging towards one of the rest of the servants there. Specifically that of Moriarty, as Moriarty would still use his noble phantasms, but every time when he tries to strike, including one of these being that of his, one of his lanterns would shoot off, destroying literally half of his body. As you would slowly start regenerating, as you would say, it doesn't matter. My pain is the pain of all the people that you have made suffer, you would say. As after saying this, he would rush towards one of the other servants there, specifically that of Jean, as he would say, I'll destroy you, oppressor, he would say. Doing so, he would get ready his sword, as Jean would block the attack with her polearm once again. As she would say, strength, it's like a berserker. But with that sword, but with this swordsmanship, it's definitely that of a saber. But how? I thought only he can be summoned as he would say this. Now, be crushed by thine blade! As he would say that, he would start charging up his sword as a pure golden light would rush towards one of the people there. Specifically that of T Nebula. Doing so, Rex would say, shit, as he would rush towards the area, as he would say, damn it, I can't do anything, but as before he can, another magic circle? Doing so, another blinding light would appear, as Ashia Doman would say, he would say, well, this is quite the turn of events. I can certainly smell the resentment. And so, this is where we're gonna be ending off this episode. So yeah, bye-bye.